Well, today is August 22nd. As you know, we're now in our 800th episode starting. But today's episode is going to be interesting. As you know, I've been covering a lot of the tournaments that took place. As you know, the G1 is over. We still got the 5-star Grand Prix still going. I haven't seen the latest one yet. But not to mention, we're going to review the N-1 victory by Pro Wrestling Noah. We have day 4 and day 5 that we're going to review. And of course, we got the latest GCW event, Hope to Die, that took place on the 20th. And then, of course, we cannot forget, since it's Monday, we got AEW Dark Elevation, which is going to be a very interesting episode to watch. But also, we cannot forget, we got some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, let's begin with more on Pro Wrestling Noah with the N-1 Victory 2022 with day 4, I believe. So, as you know, we're still early on in what's going on. There's still no indication who will be out or in still, but we'll see what took place. Our first match we have is from the B block. We have Jack Morris taking on Kinya Okada. Now, to be honest here, Okada has not won a single match since the start of this tournament, which was very unusual. But I have to say, Jack Morris is a very interesting wrestler. Don't know much about him, but he's not from the States, in case anybody asks. He's from across the pond, the Atlantic, I believe Scotland or Wales, I'm not sure. But he was very impressive. But he picked up a nice win against Kinya Okada when he did some sort of like underhook power bomb. Was very impressive. But it did gave him his 2 points. So right now, at this point, I believe he has let's see what he has. Oh yeah. He only has 2 wins and 1 loss, so not bad. So he has 4 points. And as for Kinya Okada, I'm sorry to say this, he has no wins whatsoever. So he has 4 losses so far. So most likely he could be out by the look of it, but we'll see what happens then. Now let's go to, of course, our next match. We have for the A block, we got Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. versus Masaaki Mochizuki. Now, this is a very good match because, you know, we got Mochizuki, who's a veteran. He is a junior heavyweight competitor as well. But he's competed in heavyweights before. He's like in the borderline of it. But one thing I did see that, you know, no matter, I think from my understanding, Mochizuki doesn't have any wins in this tournament either. This is his 4th time, but I did not anticipate a whole lot because I kind of figured maybe Dr. Wagner Jr. Wagner was going to win. He picked up a nice win by rolling up Mochizuki, giving him his 2 points. And I believe right now he has 2 wins and 2 losses with 4 points. Mochizuki, much like Okada, he has no wins so far, so he only has 4 losses. Now back to the B block, we have Satoshi Kojima taking on Masa Kitamiya. I have to say, this is a very powerhouse type match that I like because, you know, these 2 men are very powerhouses because I enjoy that. Now, you can look at Kitamiya from what he does for a guy of his size, but I was impressed with things. But however, I always view this as a match where, okay, you look at Kitamiya, he's a bit more younger than, who's a lot more younger than Kojima, that he may have the upper hand. But, however, you cannot count out of course, the veterancy of Kojima when he applied the big lariat onto him and winning him the match. So right now, Kojima is currently has 3 wins and 1 loss with 6 points. Um, then of course, Kitamiya, he only has 2 wins and 2 losses, 4 points. So not bad from what I can tell. Now back to the A block. We got a very interesting matchup. We have Hideki Suzuki versus Kazuyuki Fujita. I thought this match has a little bit more of the grappling technician. Now, in my personal opinion, I would have assumed Suzuki was going to win this one because the guy is impressive. Now, if you guys know this about Fujita, according to what the commentator said, he is one of the last students by the amazing Antonio Inoki, and I thought, whoa, makes perfect sense about him. But I was a bit of surprised that it was Fujita that applied the chokehold onto Suzuki and forced him the tap out. I did not anticipate that one way. So this was very interesting. Now, keep in mind, before any of this, Suzuki was undefeated, but now he's defeated. So he only has 2 wins and 1 loss. As for Fujita, I believe he has 2 wins and 2 losses with 4 points. So not bad. So they're both okay for now. Now our next match is B block. We got Takashi Sugiura taking on Katsuhiko Nakajima. Now this is a very interesting match. Now I'm a fan of these men, but if I had to pick one, I would say it would be Nakajima. Nakajima is a fantastic striker. This guy knows how to do those kick strikes that you know it's going to leave a mark on your damn chest. That's one of the things I like about it. And this guy, he's always on a mission because his primary mission right now in this point is to be to win his 3rd consecutive N-1 victory tournament. As you know, he won 2020 and 2021. So we'll see about that, but it was great. I loved it, but it was Nakajima that picked up the victory onto Sugiura, giving him his 2 points. I believe right now Nakajima has 2 wins and 2 losses. As for Sugiura, I believe he has 2 wins and 1 loss on this one. So that's how it rolls out with him. And now back to the A block. We got Go Shiozaki versus Keno, our current GHC heavyweight champion. Now you know this is going to be good because Keno will stop at nothing no matter what. He is the guy who's like, will get right through you no matter what. And that's exactly what he did. I was impressed by him, what he did. And then of course he did a somewhat of a stomped onto Go Shiozaki, and then he applied a pinfall. 1, 2, 3, it win. He actually won this match. I think Keno has 3 wins and 1 loss with total points of 6. So I believe right now he is currently in the lead with 6 points. Go Shiozaki, I believe he has 2 wins and 2 losses. Now who's in the lead in the B block? Well, right now we have a tie. We have Satoshi Kojima and what's his name? Kojima. Yep, Kojima. Satoshi Kojima are currently tied. So anything could change between here and now between both these men. So we still got more to go. So let's review what took place on day 5. Okay, so day 5 of the N-1 victory by Noah. As you know, we still continue on with the tournament. Now let's start with the A block. We have Anthony Green, who many of you from WWE fan base knows him as August Gray, taking on Kazuyuki Fujita. Now, this was not too much of a hype for me, but I kind of figured how it was going to end. Not because, of the status. Let's just say there's the veterancy versus more of the younger wrestler. But in this particular case, it was Fujita with the base bomb that sealed the deal to win the match. So in this point, I believe right now, Fujita has about he has 3 wins and 1 loss with total 6 points. So basically, he's good. As for Anthony Green, he only has 1 win so far, and the rest he only has 3 losses with 2 points. Now I don't know how far long he can hold on to, but we'll see as soon as we progress even further. Now our next match is part of the B block. We have Jack Morris taking on Katsuhiko Nakajima. Now, those who are Nakajima fans, you could probably can guess right away. Oh, this is gonna be easy. You know that he's gonna devour him. Normally, I would agree, but I have to say, Morris really put up or shot up against Nakajima from what I can tell in this match. However, when Jack Morris thought he had everything under control, instead of the usual ways that Nakajima win, he basically pulled up a Hurricanrana in order to win. This was a huge disappointing loss for Jack Morris. He would have won, but no. Of course, Nakajima, who was smart enough to pull off something out of his hat to win the match. As for what's going on in the point system for both, Nakajima currently has 3 wins and 2 losses with a total points of 6. As for Morris, he has 2 wins and 2 losses. So basically, he's good for now and total points of 4. Now our next match is back to the A block. We got Masaaki Mochizuki taking on Masato Tanaka. Now, I'll put this on record now. Before this match, of course, Mochizuki, he had no wins whatsoever. So he basically was winless. But I have to say it's a pretty good match because we have 2 different veterancies from 2 different eras. Of course, Masato Tanaka, if you guys are New Japan fans, you guys know he was the first ever never openweight champion. We all know about Mochizuki from Dragon Gate. But one thing I was a bit surprised, it was Mochizuki who picked up the win by a pinfall. This was his first N-1 win. Now, I don't know if he can catch up to the others, but I can say he put up the effort. There's no denying that. So I believe right now in the point system, we have Mochizuki. He only has 1 win and 4 losses with the total points of 2. Tanaka, he only has 2 wins and 2 losses. So there's that. Now let's go to our B block. We have Masa Kitamiya taking on Takashi Sugiura. Pretty much a pretty good match because it's more of a pound for pound powerhouse type match between these 2 individuals. These 2 guys are amazing wrestlers. You know, you got Sugiura, who's a bit of the veteran, who's in his 50s, knows he's there, he's been through all. You got Masa Kitamiya, who's now been breaking on his own ever since he left Congo. I have to say it was a pretty good match. I wasn't sure how this is going to end because they're both fantastic wrestlers. They're both beasts in the ring. However, it was, of course, Sugiura who picked up the win by applying a headlock, forcing Kitamiya to tap out. So I was like, wow, not bad. So right now I believe Sugiura has 3 wins and 1 loss with total points of 6. As for Masa Kitamiya, 2 wins and 3 losses with 4 points. Not bad. So like I said before, anything can change here on out. Now this next match, oh my effing god, what a match. We got Hideki Suzuki versus Keno. Now this is a pretty awesome match. I love it. Now you have a guy who's been around the block like Suzuki, who is part of that Thatchcan camp that he's in, you know, grappler. And then of course you got Keno, who's done everything. He knows how to do striking techniques. He can put you in a submission, that sort of thing. It was unbelievable. They tried everything, not even the moments where like, come on, hit me back. So that sort of thing, it was amazing. I was like completely biased in this match, but however, this match ended in a time limit draw. This is the first and only so far in this tournament where of course there's a draw. So basically this is the only one. So each competitor has 1 point each. I believe right now, Keno, he has 7 points, so he's still in the lead. As for Suzuki, he has 5. So basically, that's where it is because since Keno only has 3 wins, 1 loss, and a draw, Suzuki has 2 wins, 1 loss, and a draw. So, like I said, this is the only match in the tournament that's a draw. I don't know if we will see another one. That's the thing we don't know. Now, our next match, this is a very interesting matchup. We got this Supernova, Kato Kiyomiya taking on Masakatsu Funaki. So, if you ever seen Funaki, he is a beast as well. Also, striker, technical aspect type. You got Kato Kiyomiya, who is basically one of those wrestlers that we know he can reach to the top, but I was thinking in the back of my mind that there's no way Kiyomiya can pull off a guy like him, but somehow Kato Kiyomiya was able to come on top and win the match. I was like, wow, unbelievable. So it was great. So right now, I believe Kiyomiya, he has the total points of just 2 wins and 2 losses with 4 points. As for Funaki, 2 wins and 2 losses, 4 points. So the tie. Now, who's right now currently in the lead in the respective blocks? Let's look into the thing. For A block, we have Kano, who has 7 points, so he's in the lead. As for the B block, there's practically two ties. They're stuck in 6 points. We got no 3 actually. We got Kojima, Sugiura, and Nakajima. They're all in 6 points. So we got a 3-way tie here in the lead. So anything can change between here and out until the very end. So we'll see what happens then. But right now, let's move on with GCW Hope to Die. Okay, GCW Hope to Die. This one took place on the 20th of August. I did not see this right away, but I waited maybe a couple of days just to see it. We had an opener with Nick Gage. As you know, Nick Gage, he comes out every single time. So I thought it was pretty cool for fans who are part of the MDK gang, just to get everything hyped up. Now, our first opening match, we have Nick Wayne versus Joe Lando. What a match! I have to say, it was pretty good. A pretty good opener. I'm not gonna lie about that. A little bit of the hot spots, but what I did like is how Nick Wayne was able to pull up a stunner and then the cloud cutter, which was a fantastic way to end the match to win it. So, not bad. Next match, we have Billy Starks versus B-Boy. Yeah, that's right, my boy B-Boy. He is at there. One thing I did like is how Billy Starks tried to try to take him off his game, but a B-Boy, he does not mess around. If you guys ever seen him, I mean, he doesn't joke around. But the one thing I was like for certain, you probably would say B-Boy was going to win because this guy's been around the block. You know, I'd seen him, I read things about him. Not to mention he lives here where I'm from in San Diego, California. But however, Billy Starks was able to pull off an amazing victory against him by pulling off the jackknife on him. I don't think that's the last thing he expected, but in the end, he showed respects to Billy that she really pulled it off really great. Now, our next match is a championship match. This is the GCW Extreme title. This one is not defended in deathmatch rules. Now, this particular title has already been announced that it will be defended either in traditional wrestling or deathmatch. It doesn't matter, but long as it's defended. So we have, of course, not just Cole Roderick defending it. We have Brett Instone. Now, I haven't seen this guy for quite some time. Last time I saw him, he was part of a promotion. But the way I saw in this particular match, oh my God, Brett was murdering Cole Roderick. But you probably would have guessed this guy could have won the match, but no, Cole Roderick, who refuses to stay down, picked up a huge victory against him by pinning him 1, 2, 3. He retains the title. Now, next up, our next match, we have Blake Christian versus Masha Stanovich. This is a very interesting match, but continuing on, those are still commentating about, okay, how is the warm reception here in this location with, of course, with Blake Christian. As you know, Blake Christian has burned bridges back in Atlantic City at the Showboat. The later on events, basically everybody still give him more rupture. But I have to say, Masha Slamovich really put up an effort until Blake Christian finally defeated her by pinning her 1, 2, 3. It was over. Now, our next match, we have Everett Conrad and Charlie Evans taking on the Second Gear Crew, Matthew Justice and Mance Warner. Now, you know the Second Gear Crew. They don't play around. They have that take no prisoners type of attitude. Of course, Charlie Evans and Everett Connors, they refuses to stay down until somehow someone is going to stay down, and that person who actually stayed down was Everett Connors when he was double pinned by both Warner and Justice, and I thought it was pretty good. But I have to say the fans gave both of these two a good warm reception, putting up the effort against the Second Gear Crew. Next match, we have a six-way match. Now, most of these guys, I've seen them in other locations. We have Hunter Drake versus Sean Campbell versus Terry Yaki versus Brogan Finley, David Finley's brother, Rico Gonzalez, and Bobby Flacco. Now, these guys, I hardly see them in GCW. I have seen Hunter Drake before, but not on many occasions. Now, I was a bit more like, okay, I'm not too much hyped on this one, but the only wrestler I am familiarized is Brogan Finley, who is the brother of David Finley, the son of Fit Finley. I thought, okay, it was going to be interesting, but it was Rico Gonzalez that picked up the victory. It was like, okay, like I said before, was not too hyped for this match. Next match we have is Jordan Oliver versus Anthony Henry. Now, this is a very impressive match, but at the same time, you look at the dynamics of this match, how each of them works. Now, you look at Jordan Oliver; he has that high flying standard type. You look at Anthony Henry, a bit of the submission grappling style. So the obvious question does remain: who will come out on top? Well, I can tell you, much like Nick Wayne, where he pulled off the Cloud Cutter, it was Jordan Oliver that also pulled off the Cloud Cutter on him in order to win. So I loved it. Now, our next match, we have also another San Diego native, but he's originally from Georgia, since this event took place in Atlanta, Georgia. We have Hunter Freeman taking on the Blood Warrior, Alex Colon. Now, if you guys don't know this, I have met Hunter. He's a nice guy, cool dude, you know, great guy to drink a beer, even though I don't drink beer that much. But I thought it was a pretty good deathmatch style. They never mentioned it's going to be a deathmatch, but it sounded like it that way. But the one thing that was surprising is how this match ended, is where Alex Colon applied the Spanish fly onto him. 1, 2, 3, it was over. I was like, dang, that's nuts. But yeah. Now, our next match, trios actions, we got Los Macizos, Miedo Extremo, Cyclops, and then of course there's your fudging with the different boy, Jimmy Lloyd. I forgot what they call him now, because it looks like he's now a member of the Macizos, or they made him an honorary. I don't know which is, but their opponents is a very interesting combination. We have Dark Sheik, Effie, and Alley Catch, known as Thrusty. I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird, but it was also a good match, because you look at Los Macizos with Cyclops and Miedo Extremo. These two guys are on the verge to get their tag titles back. But what about Bussy? Well, I have to say they pulled off all the stops as possible, but it was, of course, Bussy who picked up the win in order for that. But in the post-match promo, Effie is declaring that they will do whatever it takes to get their titles back at Art of War Games. So I think it was a pretty good event. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Some good matches I did enjoy. So that's pretty much what I got right now. So I think let's move on with our final review, the AEW Dark Elevation. Okay, AEW Dark Elevation opened up with Anna Jay along with Angelo Parker taking on Victory. But you guys can guess right away, just like every other time when we see Anna Jay in a Dark or a Dark Elevation event, she wins by using the Queen Slider and tells everybody how she's going to choke out. Well, one of the days someone's going to choke her out, but she did one in that fashion. Next up, we got a mixed tag team match. I don't know when, if now it's becoming a thing, but we have Ortiz and Ruby Soho versus Mickey Midas and Queen Aminata. So basically, this was a very interesting combination because with Ortiz and Ruby Soho, as you know, they're part of that storyline with Eddie Kingston where they declare war against the Jericho Appreciation Society. But it was the great combination. Ruby Soho was able to put Mickey Midas in the Destination Unknown, and then finally Ortiz applied the Fisherman bomb onto Midas to pick up the victory. Next up, we got, of course, Dante Martin versus Jackson Drake. Now, this is a pretty good match. Now, just to be fair, I was a bit of surprise that Dante Martin did not apply the nosedive. He went a different direction because possibly many wrestlers will presume that that's the only way he's going to win. But no, he picked up a really good win against Drake, and that's how it rose, folks. Next up, we got Serena Deeb versus Megan Myers. You probably can guess right away that Serena Deeb applied the Serenity Lock, as always, to win the match. Next up, we got a trios action. We got Dark Order, John Silver, Reynolds, and 10, along with Evil Uno, taking on the more Solvino, Alexander Apollo, and RC Dupree. I have to say, great combinations coming from the members of Dark Order, how they finished their act. I think it shows a pretty good thing. I could see maybe these three really doing impressive work in the trios tournament. It was, of course, the Disc Lariat that finished off one of them, giving Silver to pick up the win in the match. Next up, we got Julia Hart versus Haley Shadows. Now, you can guess in this particular match, it ends with a submission like always. We have seen Julia Hart has been applying submission moves and tactics, submission techniques in order to win the match, and I think that shows us, okay, she's being serious. I'm sure Malachi Black might taught her a few things. Next up, we got Josh Woods and Tony Nese, along with that lawyer of theirs, Smart Mark Sterling, taking on Andrea Guercio and Logan James. I have to say the combination between both Woods and Nese has been impressive. We know they had a good, impressive match against Swerve and Our Glory, but in this particular match right now, Woods and Nese picked up the victory. Next up, we got Death Triangle on the little warm-up match, just like Dark Order. We have Penta, Rey Fenix, and Pac taking on Rosario, Grillo, Dean Alexander, and Man Scout, taking them out. It was, of course, Penta who picked up the victory with a package pile driver maneuver, giving him the win. Now, this next match, I have to say, was a very interesting one, the way it ended. We have Emi Sakura teaming up with Maki Ito. Maki Ito telling everybody, yes, we're friends. Welcome to the Ito Respect Army. But Emi, forget it. She's not going to join that. They take on Sky Blue and Hikaru Shida. Now, if you guys are curious about the title you saw she was carrying, that title is part of the Yoshi promotion called Pro Wrestling Wave. That is the Regina D Wave. What's her name? Hikaru Shida beat Suzuki for that title on the anniversary show. I'll try to put a link of that particular match in the description so you guys can see that, because I'm going to share that video on my social media and my Facebook to my friends, because I think they don't know anything about that match. But yeah, but it was a pretty good match. Not to mention, one thing I was like wondering how it's gonna end, but it was, of course, Emi Sakura that pulled off the Queen's Gambit on Sky Blue, while Maki Ito was keeping Hikaru Shida occupied. However, once the match was over, it looks clear that Emi Sakura is declaring that she wants the challenge for the Regina the Wave title. Now, I don't know exactly if Pro Wrestling Wave will allow this match to be sanctioned because, as you know, Emi is not. I mean, Shida is not in Japan. She's here in the States. So if they say it's okay, then we will see that match. I mean, we have seen, of course, the AAA titles being on the line and all this and that. But we'll see when that day arrives from then on. So I think that's pretty much it. Now, our next thing we're going to do, I wasn't planning on it. This wasn't part of my plan for this particular episode. There was a recent press conference by New Japan and Stardom about their upcoming show taking place in November, and also involving matches and the IWGP Women's Championship. So let's talk about that right now. Okay, now if you guys have been aware, I mentioned this on a news update a while back. It was announced during a strategy business presentation that, of course, New Japan will be doing a joint service with Stardom, and this is something really cool we're going to enjoy. And this was going to take place on the 20th of November. It's going to call Historic X Over. However, not a lot has been foretold what's going to happen. But here are the matches that were announced, and there's going to be in either mixed or intergender, however they want to call it down there. We have Tom Lawlor teaming up with Suzu to take on Zack Sabre Jr. and Julia. Now, what I like about this is this: Tom Lawlor and Suzu, they're both UFC fighters. They've been around the block. Lawler's a big fan of Suzu, and not to mention a God's Eye fan too. So it would make sense to have him team up with her, and that's going to be a great experience for both of them. As for Julia and Zack Sabre Jr., they have a little bit of the technical aspect, which is good, and Julia is now calling this team Zack Sabre Julia. So, but our next match, this one was a bit of surprising. Hiroshi Tanahashi teaming up with Utami Hayashishida. Many fans would have assumed that she would team up with Mayu Iwatani due to the fact that she's the ace. Well, I'll explain that a little bit on that. But a pretty good team. They're taking on Maika and Hiroki Goto. Now, our next match that was already announced, this one was something that was brought upon right after the tag team match that took place with Cosmic Angels Natsupoi and Tam Nakano when they beat FWC for the Goddess tag titles. Taichi comes out congratulating. He was impressed by their match, with their feelings, how they were able to overcome the odds for themselves, knowing they have a pretty good team. So he put himself on his name out there, saying that he wants to team up with Natsupoi and Tam. And of course, like the old saying goes, ask and you shall deliver. So we're going to have an 8-person tag match. So it's going to be Taichi, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, Tam Nakano, and Natsupoi to take on El Desperado, Doiki, Starlight Kid, and of course, Momo Watanabe. Now, we know that there's been an interaction from certain times. I know Taichi has interacted with Tam Nakano in the past. I know recently Starlight Kid has interacted with Desperado on several occasions. I think this is going to be interesting. So, but as you guys notice, on both sides, in the male sides, you got members of Suzuki-gun on the opposite side. But the one thing that will be interesting is Desperado and Doiki, because Desperado always calls Doiki a bitch because he never wins his matches. Well, let's see how this one goes, because I hate to see Doiki lose in this fashion, knowing that he has to team up with the one guy who shows no respect to him. But however, because of this, as you know, there's going to be the IWGP Women's title. Now, Mayu Iwatani, they did ask her in the past about, okay, who would she like to team up with? And she said Hiroshi Tanahashi, which is amazing. They're both aces in their respective promotions. But however, looks like they're not going to put her in. Looks more like now they're guiding her into the IWGP women's title mix, and I think it's a good thing because many fans, especially the international fans like ourselves here, myself, and many of you who watch this would agree that Mayu is the well-known, respected wrestler coming out of Stardom who goes internationally. So it would make sense. So I think it's going to be good. She understands this is a huge weight and burden on her that she has to overcome. And of course, I have a feeling that Tanahashi is going to guide her every step of the way because he knows how much the IWGP means a lot to him because he held those titles before. Now, onto the IWGP title. How is this going to be proceeded? It was already announced that there's going to be a tournament. So, round one will be taken in two different locations. The first one will be in night 2 of the New Japan Royal Quest in London on the 2nd of October, which is going to be over there. And then the next one will be in Corkin Hall on the 22nd. So basically, Stardom will be doing that show themselves. And then the semifinals will be taking place in Tachikawa Arena in Tokyo on the 23rd. And then finally, the finals will take place back where we on the 20th of November for the historic X Over event. And then as soon as we crown the next crown the first ever IWGP Women's Champion, there will be a first ever title defense. This one was already been decided. It's going to take place on Wrestle Kingdom on January 4th. This is huge right here because we know that this is going to be a huge event, so why not? So we still don't know who else is going to be involved, from my understanding. However, how is this title will be managed? Now, from what I understand, this title will be certified and managed by the IWGP Executive Committee. So whatever they decide, it's going to be on them. The defenses will be mainly done in domestic New Japan shows, Stardom events, and of course overseas events from New Japan and all over the world somewhere else. So that's pretty good plan what they're going to come up with. Now, it's still unclear about how the tournament is going to be proceed or who's going to bracket. Hopefully by the next episode, or I'll just put this as a news update for all of you to figure this out. So because I know many of you are probably curious. So I think that's pretty much it. So I say let's move on to our final thing, news updates. Okay, for news updates. Now, I did mention before, Natsupoi and Tam Nakano are their new Goddess of Stardom tag champions. Apparently, Tokyo Sports reported that something interesting has developed. Those who know or don't know, I didn't know it from the very start. Natsupoi is very good friends with current WWE superstar Sarray. She's good friends with her. She just, according to what she said, she spoke to her the other day, or I don't know what day was it, and she revealed that not only she's going to be holding the Goddesses tag titles, she looks more like she wants to aim for the Artist belt. I don't know if that's a good idea because, as you know, carrying 2 titles is going to be a heavy burden. As you know, recently other members of the Cosmic Angels, Mina, Unagi, and Saki, came up short in that particular match, especially Mina, who suffered a great deal of hurt thanks to Momo Watanabe. So it's still unclear about that yet, but don't know much. But I think that's pretty much what I got on that. So now, speaking of Stardom, it was announced, as you know, we saw the Stardom in Showcase. Well, get ready for Volume 2. Now, it's still unclear what kind of matches we saw. I mean, we saw some very interesting matches. We saw the Cosmic Rules match. We saw that Falls Count Anywhere match. That hardcore match. Coffin match. It's still no details. But we'll see what happens then. And I believe this will take place in September 25th. So we got a bit some time. Now, For all you GCW fans out there, you may have heard recently that I mentioned this on News Update. You guys probably heard it already. GCW will be heading to the UK. One of their stops is Liverpool, and one interesting match has been booked for Ali Catch. Her opponent that she'll be facing in Liverpool is none other than just recent release NXT UK star Millie McKenzie. I thought this is going to be interesting. So it looks more like Millie McKenzie's now getting on the roll. I mean, recently she's going to be in Pro Wrestling Eve, Progress, and now GCW. So this is good right here. So I'm not going to lie about that. Now, for all you New Japan Pro Wrestling fans out there, you may have heard of the upcoming events taking place in October. Declaration of Power. 2 matches have been announced. One is the IWGP World Heavyweight title will be on the line. It's going to be the champion, the Catalyst, the last rock and roller, the guy who single-handedly sold out Madison Square Garden, Jay White, taking on Tama Tonga. This is going to be good. Now keep in mind, Tama does have a win over Jay White. He pinned him in the prior before the semifinals of the G1. So he does have an opportunity. So that's going to be good. However, our next match that was announced for this particular event is in fact a special match. It's going to be Jonah versus Kazuchika Okada. Now keep in mind, Jonah has already defeated Okada. So this could be Okada's like redemption match in order to rectify that loss he had with Jonah. So that's going to be good. Now finally, for all you Minoru Suzuki fans out there, you know how much you love this guy. Murder Grandpa is coming back to the States. He will be heading to Defy Wrestling in Seattle. I'm like, wow. And he debut. I don't know if this is a debut match, but the upcoming event will be in October 29th. Kingdom Come. I'm sure it's going to be fire. It's still unclear who's going to be his opponent, but I will keep that to a prize and find out. Hopefully by that time we get that info for everyone. So I think that's pretty much it, what we got with news updates and everything else. So I believe it's time to call it a day. Okay, I hope everybody enjoys this episode, me reviewing day 4 and 5 of the N-1 Victory, GCW Hope to Die, and AEW Dark Elevation. Of course, giving you guys the lowdown about the upcoming event from the joint event between both New Japan and Stardom, which I'm excited. I'm sure everybody else excited. And of course, the news updates. Just recently, before I just got a notification telling me there's going to be another press conference for title matches during the 5-Star Grand Prix. It's still unclear what it is. I will be putting that as a review to talk about that as soon as possible. And if there's anything else, we'll go from there. But as you know, since this is Monday, next episode is going to be Tuesday, and it's Tuesday Wrestling. We get to review once again NWA Power, AEW Dark, and NXT 2.0. As you know, we're now entering the fallout from Heatwave. I'm excited. Now, if there's anything else from any other events that I will throw in before that, I will do that. I haven't decided yet what. I'm still considering possibly the latest event by GLEAT that took place. We'll see about that. But for now, I'll just say I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.